odds in this match. I'm very much on the hype train, but this is the problem. APAC kind of suffers it in a similar nature to North America, where you can see these teams start well, and then it all just kind of falls away, fizzles out. So I'm hoping for FearX they can keep the good times going. And if they can, if FearX knock out Falcons, it'll be 4 wins from 4 matches. And unfortunately, because of the way the Bullets are kind of working out with all the other results today, guys, it might not even be enough to get them top 4 by the end of today, and then they have to play again tomorrow. You lose that one tomorrow and you're out. You could have a 4 wins, 1 loss record and get knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing about this event, right? And why I mentioned before when we were looking at FearX that the stake and the pressure very much on Falcons in this game, a team and an organization who have entered the scene with the expectation to come out of the gate strong. They are contending for the hammer at the end of the season, and they now find themselves in the early portion of the very first event playing for their lives.
And again, for those maybe a little bit unfamiliar, questioning, why have FearX only got 1 bullet? Why have they only reloaded 1 bullet? Well, because their opponent Falcons only has 1 bullet. That's all they've got in the chamber. And so therefore, for FearX, and this is where, again, things get strange. If they win, they go to 14.
Because they get the additional.
They get the eliminator. But if Falcons win, they'll go to 15. So Falcons can actually get a higher bullet count if they win this than if FearX win this. Even though right now, FearX have got 12 and Falcons have got 1. Why is that? Of course, Falcons have played their extended mag card.
Yeah, and 15 maybe could be enough to get them through. Unlikely, but it could. So, I mean, there's a lot of crazy math that will continue to play out for the day. But for both teams, importance on this matchup, again, a little bit more so though on Falcons in terms of that survival factor first and foremost.
I mean, Falcons lose this, they are out. They'll be heading off to the airport. Fortunately for Team Liquid, they can just drive home from here. They don't have to go for
Too soon.
Alrighty, let's get underway. FearX taking on Falcons. FearX undefeated so far at Reload. It's been a very impressive performance from all 5 of their players. For Falcons, it's been rather dismal. Not a lot has gone their way. They've only got 2 players, by the way, inside of the top 50 for EPS. That's Shaiko and Solotov. And that's out of 100 players. So, I mean, top 50 doesn't... Top 50 usually sounds nice when you're looking at these metrics, but it's not great here. Contact, Woogie Man over towards top main. He's able to keep his life intact. Again, FearX on the defense to begin. They are the 2nd best team at the tournament so far. 77% defensive win rate, so it's not going to be easy for Falcons.
Monty, Ace, Valk, and Kaid banned out for this matchup. Typically with the Kaid banned out, you will see defensive teams on basement extend a little bit more above, maybe play the open hatch for the drop. On this occasion though, FearX playing far more passive on the site itself, outside of Mephi on blue stairs, up close on the Warden so he can look to withstand U-tilt. Does mean that elsewhere, Falcons are able to get to work in the likes of these open area positions, open up the hatches with either the thermite or the secondary hard breaches. Combination of the two will allow all of these hatches to be opened up. And so with that, different opportunities present themselves. Falcons could go for a re-hit gold. They could also posture for a default. Keep in mind though, the Goyo in play will stall out that utility. Solotov though, does have a shock drone inside of server, and so will likely be looking to clear some of that utility. Mephi with his hands full, juggling that alongside top blue. And it does allow that drone to sneak through. So the groundwork from Falcons, pretty good so far. Don't let the time concern you too much.
Yeah, it's one of those sites you can hit with relatively low time remaining. What does concern me, guys, is there's still 3 gas bays for Good Boy. Rint does go down to Licky Fac.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a bit of a strange double stack and it's punished.
Yeah, Mephi also falling on the Warden, which is not ideal. And suddenly Falcons have found a way to kind of open up this site and have got really good position. 45 seconds. Again, not too fast about the time. A lot of emphasis here on Good Boy with the gas canisters, though. They must displace any plant attempt, maybe even force them deep in towards the bomb chassis. And coded in an aggressive position, playing, of course, the Echo. So those drones, the Yokais, if they're still available, could be a deterrent.
It can't be a default plant. 2 smokes, Yokai potentially up. This actually could get a little bit risky for Falcons.
Again, 3v5 though, so Falcons can rush site. They can send bodies forward, they can play the hatch, they can play main stairs, they've got a lot of angles. Woogie then falls as well. Unfortunately for FearX, they've not played this awfully in terms of site control, but they're just losing members far too easily. Nicely done from Falcons in their ability to just be able to clean out a lot of the players. The plant is successful. Good Boy needed to deny that if he had any kind of chance, but now in a 1v2, and he's got little to no health remaining. Needs to go for broke, and he almost got the kill onto Brede with Solotov towards square. It would have been a straight 1v1. Brede swings, gets the kill. Falcons will take the opening round.
Yeah, good siege there from Falcons. As we identified, keep part of that hold for FearX towards the tail end was reliant on the plant denial utility. Ultimately, they withstood that by cordoning off the rotation with the flames, having a lurk in through gold. It made it very challenging for the defenders to play through that red position, potentially go for a swing, deny the plan, etc. So, yeah, ultimately good work from Falcons, a sign of a team that, of course, is very experienced. Some troubles for FearX in that round, notably over towards blue stairs. Mephi, I don't know if he made the call, but wanted assistance, and we saw Rin rotate server. He was punished. Mephi did nothing, so a 3 versus 5 put FearX in a very difficult position for that execute.
Neither of these two teams have played Bank so far at the tournament, guys. Again, it's a small sample size, being only 3 days played, 3 matches, those being best of ones. And you kind of look at the maps that FearX have played, right? So I'll mention these and you'll kind of gain an idea. Clubhouse, Skyscraper, and Chalet. I mean, the Chalet is certainly one of... I mean, Chalet's kind of 50-50. Bank basically is going to be one of the more open maps that we've seen here for FearX at the tournament in comparison to your Clubhouses, your Skyscrapers. So the dynamic that's been working for them on those respective maps may not translate necessarily to a Bank, and I think this has so far turned into a pretty good map selection when it comes to Falcons. And so far, a lot of that comes down to that opening round, to be able to just go and find 3 kills. How often do you really see that on base? But very little do you see that. Usually it's all about the util battle. For Falcons to be able to make it a 5v2, that shouldn't really happen. So that's on FearX to clean that up.
Number of repicks here into the second round for Falcons. Notably, they jump off the Twitch. Rin did hide the mirror in that front desk position towards the preparation phase. And so that's, in some respects, likely a win in the column for FearX pre-round. They don't need to deal with denying shock drones for this position, and it allows that Jan hold to be fortified. That being said, Falcons, given the composition they've played into, may well go for a lobby hit. Open up the likes of Kanto, play long LOS with the Kaid, so... we'll see how they actually posture. And of course, what the response will shape up to be.
Well, do you ban out the Hibana, right? I mean, if you ban out the Hibana and the Ace, you basically can't really open up Kanto.
Well, Hibana's available for the first hit, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. So after round 3, that can then change. Something to consider when we do get there. It is opened up now. And Falcons so far, one thing that, I mean, it's very early days, round 1, round 2, but they're looking quite conservative in their approach. They're not overstepping the mark, not trying to just rush things. They're just kind of going through their systematic checklist.
Well, they've dealt with that mirror easily. No catch on the board from FearX.
Dealing with the util. So this is where FearX cannot rely on the utility to win them these rounds. They're going to have to frag out.
I wonder if that was identified by FearX. They saw no catch. Maybe they did spot the mirror, or thought that it could still be available on the board, and in doing so, smart decision. Puts pressure now on Mephi once again to hold a key portion of the map. He failed in the last round.
Yeah, Rin needs to go over towards square and see if he can stop anything over towards this mezzanine position. Woogie gets lit up, and here comes the push through. Plant, by the way, as well, inside of CEO. Shaiko may fall, but that plant is going to be successful, and that's a big win for Falcons. Suddenly now for FearX, it's going to be very difficult to win this round, even though they've got a 4v3 man count. Yeah, you got to play this post plane. This is one of the more difficult ones in Siege. Someone has to jump at some point, and Brede is ready for it.
Well, they need to send out multiple bodies, and they need to do it quick to have time to get back on that diffuser.
All 3 on the exterior for Falcons. Someone has to try and sit that diffuser. Others have to jump out. This needs to be coordinated from FearX. They cannot dilly-dally. There's the jump. It is successful. Oh, and a double from Rin changes the complexion of this round, and Wookie will get that counter diffuse as FearX steal it up to death against Falcons. Rin!
They have absolutely jibbed that.
Oh my goodness!
They get away with sending one body out.
One player jumps out, gets a double kill on the repellers. This is the one thing that they need to be watching.
That's disgusting. I'd feel so hard done by if I'm Falcons in that round.
That is an incredible play from Rin. And again, I said before it even happened, it's the coordination and the orchestration of that round that needs to be perfect for FearX. Woogie gets on for the counter diffuse. Rin goes for the jump out. They keep one as a body on the counter diffuser. So they've played that really perfectly. You kind of mentioned, do you go for the double?
They did not play that perfectly.
Well, no.
You have to send,
you go for the two bodies. If you go for the 2 bodies and they don't win it, the guy who's counter diffusing is not going to be able to win that round. So
it's a calculated play you have to make.
For me, I look at it as what they did, super high risk, but super high reward if it works, because it did, and you could see how easy it was to then get that counter defuse. But as you said,
do that play 100 times and you win it 3 times.
Well, they won it once out of 1. And to be honest, at the end of the day, it's 50-50. Either you win it or you don't. Either way, FearX on the board. Falcons will look to try and rebound, if you will. Oh. And I will say, it's early days, second round played, but I mean, Falcons did a lot right in that round to get the plant the way that they did at the time that they did.
Yeah, I mean, they dealt with the mirror.
You should be winning that round, though, 90% of the time.
97%.
Yep.
I don't know what the actual number would be, but I'm just running the number in my
You're just
head.
insinuating. It's very difficult to get that retake.
Yeah, for sure.
The blitz employed here, Brede. Look to maybe overwhelm stock, which is not really being held. They've just spotted that with the drone anyway, and it is users once again on the Hibana.
Well,
which
the thing about that round, it's a good mental tester for Falcons. They have garnered the reputation now for quite some time that mentally they may not be that strong. In a match where their backs are against the wall, it's must win, pressure's on, it's a BO1, you don't have an opportunity to reset if you lose this map. They need to ensure that after every single round, win or loss, they are doing their very best to completely put it aside for the upcoming round, because that is a hard loss, that round. Like, you should be winning it. And we'll see if they can shake it off.
And this is where if FearX can find a second one immediately, then it's that mental game for Falcons that they have to deal with. And are they mentally in the right headspace at this tournament? I'm not really sure.
See you on the other side.
Good start so far from users, who unfortunately is actually the lowest rated play for Falcons of the tournament so far. Minus 13 round KD, 14 kills, 27 deaths for a 73 EPS. Is the 8th worst player at the tournament so far, but 4-0-1 to start here. A slow approach again, this time by Falcons. Even though they got the blitz, they can hit site quickly. Brede posturing back over towards Banana, and he eventually could do a couple of different things here. You can go for a stock drop, you could go over towards beepers.
It's been very passive from FearX, almost a complete turtle on site, outside of Rin lurking main stairs. That's really the only off-site threat.
Yeah,
on
Rin,
offer.
certainly one to watch later in the round, bot main stairs. You still got 2 nitro cells. At some point you got to get those, and honestly within the next 15 to 20 seconds would be the best time to do it. Catch Falcons off guard as they're making their way towards the site. Brede towards main. May looked to eventually come through beepers. Indeed he will. It's good boy, the opening death, courtesy of Shaiko. Slow push now from Brede. Does have the kit. Maybe just wanting to try and find a safe plant towards the hatch. They've got the control above, but they're losing players. Swing from users is good. He finds his 5th kill, but a trade from Wookie does eventuate into a FearX round win. In the end, that was just nothing from Falcons. Nothing. They got stock control. They sat on their thumbs. 40 seconds left. They slow push into a site that was still heavily defended by FearX, and if they lose the Hibana now, you're not going to be able to open up Kanto.
No site displacement, that was the biggest issue, right? Quad wall was electrified, so that was a challenge. We saw the blitz posture a little bit over towards Teller's Archives earlier on in the piece, and they didn't really get much there. So, yeah, range hard breach on the board. You can talk about that in a moment's time. Really, again, only offsite threat was Rin. Did a really good job in just wasting enough time to unsettle them when they eventually postured for the open hit. And those on site turtled, and they didn't throw away their lives. They didn't do the classic APAC of those on site feeling unnervy, going for poor picks, making miscalculated plays. They continued to hold those crossfires, hold their positions, lean into the utility, conscious that they had nitros if they needed them, and ultimately it did work out. So, I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but it very much does feel like FearX had the number of Falcons in this early portion, off the back of a round that they shouldn't have won. Well, doubling down with a round where they did play better.
2 things now. So the bans come through. I'll speak about the mirror first because it actually has an impact in this round. You can't play it now on the inverse mirror window that you typically will see CC in towards server, so that's not going to be available for FearX. It's a really good way of applying pressure. Those coming down blue stairs and even just trying to open up the wall becomes very, very difficult without the ace and the Hibana. The Hibana itself not being available along with the ace means opening up Kanto for the more top floor sites is going to be pretty much impossible, and so therefore strengthens that position over towards Elevator in what will be probably rounds 5 and 6.
Yeah, anticipate top floor to play out entirely different last time. We saw the mirror hold Jan. We saw a lot of action over towards Kanto last time around, flushing out that and creating footholds. So, I mean, next time we go above, probably expect something like an elevator extension. Jan will be locked down in a slightly
front
different
desk
fashion.
hold, etc.
Probably stock hall, but we'll worry about that in a moment's time. Basement for round 4.
This is actually a really, really strange play right now from
This
FearX,
is.
right? This is a basement
This is
side,
not top
but
4.
they're playing stock with good boy, and he hits the headshot onto Brede.
jeez.
Now, he does get traded, but that's the blitz off the board. There's no more Brede, there's no more blitz.
And he dropped. So
He is into open, and Mephi gets rid of Liquifact. There goes your Grim. There goes some of your displacement utility for Falcons. 2 players down, and FearX are on the verge of a 3-round win streak.
they're playing without fear. Like, I can't believe I'm actually watching this from a Korean team right
Without fear on CJX for FearX. Shaiko does get one back onto Mephi, deals with the Fenrir.
now.
And
Good boy got picked up in the meantime as well, which is
he
insane.
is back up. He is low, but those Kiba barriers will keep generating throughout the round, so value will continue to come through from him.
Oh, they don't know Rin's here. They don't know Rin is in elevator either. I don't think. No, he's going to run straight past him.
Is
He's dead.
Solotov dead? Dead. Bye.
Oh, no.
Well done, observing team. Rin is dead. Sorry, Rin is dead. Solotov is dead, courtesy of Rin. This round's done. That's a freebie again. Shaiko has no answer for Rin. And it's a 3-1 lead for FearX here on Bank. I'm putting it in my note, so it's permanent now.
These guys just played in the last grand final at SI.
FearX?
Falcons.
I'm joking.
For clarification.
Wow.
Doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah, wow.
Early
this
days,
is-
but it does not look like that right now. Two halves. Two halves.
Two halves, first and foremost. Secondly, we've seen APAC teams do well to begin matches, and then they kind of capitulate. Teams like Falcons have got so much experience that they surely can get themselves back into it. But, I mean, look at Shaiko in the middle there. He just... Firstly, he's looking a bit like a plum, a bit red in the face.
Oh, it is very warm in the player rooms.
It is very, very warm in there. And for Falcons, it's just a matter of... They look confused and lost and disorientated. It's not anger. It's not crashing out.
Well, let's be real. How often are you attacking into basement and you run into a Goyo/Azami hold in stock with a second player, even a third above?
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it before. And like, they weren't fearful. They tried to attack and approach and try and break it down. Ultimately, they're unsuccessful. The aggression here from FearX and their execution has been really clean.
Well, I think right now for Falcons, it's just a matter of you've got to play to your strengths at this point and just back yourselves in to just honestly frack out. You've got the firepower, that's for sure. FearX, though, I mean, they've got the smarts apparently in that previous round with the setup that they employed. It really worked perfectly. Tech pause here at an impromptu time, unfortunately.
Yeah, coach headset.
Oh, it's the coach headset.
issues.
Oh, we don't need... Dark doesn't need a headset.
Well, during attack timeout, he does.
Come on.
I do wonder how clued in he is to the team comms mid-round, keeping in mind that the team would be communicating in Korean during the round. I'm sure he's obviously over time picked up stuff. He's been with the team for a little while now. I saw some, I think it was like a meme on Reddit or something yesterday about Fabian like bitched out and left APAC and went over to NA with M80, and oddly enough, his counterpart in Dark, who's been with the team for a little while now and gone through quite a treacherous period, is maybe now going to see the benefits of that long path forward still, but interesting nonetheless.
I think Dark is almost back in on the comms from what I can see. There's a thumbs up, there's a peace sign, there's a 1, there's a thumbs up again. Not the great. So Falcons had their tactical timeout. They obviously got to speak. Now Dark is getting to, of course, communicate to his team what he wants to see after this tactical timeout. 3-1 lead for FearX. 2 rounds to go in the half. Again, statistically, this shouldn't really come that much of a surprise if you look at what we've seen at the tournament holistically, because they're the second best defensive team at the tournament so far. I mean, it really speaks volumes. And if anything, you kind of go back to that first round. The strength for Falcons, what was it? They just shared gunfights. Like, they just actually gunned them down, got the 3 kills, and then from there, the util game just didn't really matter. You know, we're talking about time left in the round, gas babes, etc., to deny the plant. It didn't matter because it's a 5-on-2. They just walked in, got kills. And I think that's maybe something Falcons need to try and back themselves in a little, because what they're doing so far in a lot of these rounds is they're playing good siege and trying to clear util, make sure they're not rushing in, not trying to get caught off guard. But it's also slowing things down enough that FearX can feel comfortable. If I'm Falcons, I'm trying to make FearX uncomfortable inside of the server.
First 2 rounds were great from Falcons, and arguably the score on the lane should be 2-2, but 3 and 4 have been concerning. 3 in the sense that there was the bunker down strat from FearX, and it didn't offer those opportunities like the opening round to isolate a pick or 2. They just didn't get that chance, and even the one with the Rin over towards main that they did have was a difficult one to claim. Round 4, we then see FearX completely disperse across the map. Super aggressive, super unusual hold, and Falcons on that occasion unable to isolate those fights and actually get themselves in favourable positions. So we'll see how that dynamic continues for the final 2 of the half. As we mentioned, basement now to play, top 4 to play out very differently to last time. Ranged hard breach means that Canto Wall is going to stay up. And without the mirror, FearX are going to completely change their hold. They bring the castle this time around, so it offers a bit more protection from repel.
And it's a good point, because, you know, going in, and this is why you said before, it's a game of 2 halves, right? Like, with the way the new ban system works, and it's going to affect certain maps. You know, a map like Bank historically hasn't been too bad for the attacking teams. But now with these kind of bans, it can change things up dramatically. Suddenly there's a large portion of the map that's just almost inaccessible. And the same, depending on if Falcons want to go for the Ace Apana ban themselves, obviously in the second half, will then be for FearX. And FearX will then have to deal with that in their second half on the attack. And we won't know until that second half as to how they will go.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty direct here from Falcons. Look to lean into the sense and the CapEx.
Yeah, no catch here either for the Capitao bolts.
Yeah, they didn't bring catch last time either, which is intriguing they don't bring it this time.
And no mirror window to deal with. That banned out halfway through this half.
Well, it's emphasis on Mephi again. He needs to step up in this position over towards Jan. He has the best tools in his arsenal to counteract this.
Brede on the Sens has the RAUs, so at some point you throw those in, try and swing in, get the plant down behind the screens, displace with the Grim and the Capitao. Solitov with the opening kill on Decoded. Well, you take that one, and as I said, this has been certainly still a strength for Falcons, being able to just find these frags. Good pressure on the repels. Time's not too much of a factor when it comes to this site, and we'll get caught.
Yeah.
And well again, this is a little bit more like the Falcons we probably expected and certainly got in that opening round. The ability to find that pocket of space and find a headshot and weaken the defense by just simply killing them.
Better punishment this time around than from Falcons. Still posturing for this CEO hit. Provided Mephi can stay alive and get the support with a bit of help over towards top main and top square, there's still a world in which FearX can deny that and win this round.
Drones.
Mephi needs to step up here.
It's all about denying this plant.
Oh, we got impact EMP'd, so his goggles won't work.
Goggles not working at the moment, over towards Janitor. Shield screens have gone out, but the plant still not able to go down because Brede has only just started rappelling in.
Again.
Will he make it in successfully? Indeed he will, and with that he can plant behind the desk successfully and safely. I don't see this being denied surely, as long as he doesn't randomly get off it. It will go down, and this time around I don't think Falcons are going to lose this post-plant. 2v3.
That Nitro is about 3 decades too late. That had to come in earlier. You knew where the plant was.
FearX do not have the numbers this time to deal with it. 2 on the exterior. Shaiko in towards Janitor has seriously been spotted and now becomes a 2v2. There should be no world in which you lose this round. Not for the second time. Solitov spots one going towards that kit. Users on the exterior. Oh, he gets one surely from the outside, and Users is the only one left. But he does get the down onto Good Boy, and with that, there's no time, and Falcons will get their second round. But they made a meal of it. It's not clinical, it's not clean, but it's a round win, and honestly, at this point, all that matters for Falcons.
Still can't help but feel that FearX could have denied that plant. There was the small window there with the goggles deactivated off the back of the impact EMP. Falcons did not immediately seize that, perhaps for other reasons, to go for the plant. It was then left exposed, and those on rappel had to cover, and Mephi just couldn't quite find that window of opportunity to deny it. Very much easier said than done when you have to try to, shoulder peek and hit the quick shot, but unable to do so. And then the Nitro, way too late from down below. Netted a pick, sure, but in the 2v2, again, was reliant on FearX hitting another double kill jump out. And as said before, 97 times out of 100, you lose that, and there's a good example.
So 3-2, 1 round to go in the half. A 3-3 here for Falcons would be a really good fight back from that 3-1 position.
10 seconds.
Again, it's been said before, but APAC does have this history of starting well and then kind of fizzling out.
Defuse a bomb.
The Blackbeard going to be employed this time by users. Of course, no Monty banned out. Saw a little bit of the blitz before from Brede, but that wasn't quite working for Falcons. Now entrusting users with the BB. And this is where I'd like to see FearX get a little bit more active on the defense. And, well, lo and behold, that's exactly what Good Boy's gone and done. Gets rid of Leaky Fac.
Okay.
That's a really good angle that he has been able to find, pushing out a front desk. And with that, no Docker beat, no logic bombs to deal with later in the round. Where's the response from Falcons? And to be fair, it's not one that you really can find a very swift response. Stuck over towards Stock. Boogeyman tucked in left side on the Azami. And head spotted by Brede as he was throwing the drone out. Really quick reaction to then pull the gun out, hit the headshot. That's a clean shot from Brede. And ties things back up 4 versus 4.
So much more active on defense this time around for FearX in the early portion. Mixed success, a 4 versus 4, and still one above in Mephi that needs to be dealt with. I mean, another 2 alongside, but a little bit more distant.
Oh, Mephi, this is aggressive.
Yeah, dude, that's really pushing the limit.
Shaiko was there. And now Shaiko makes his entry through top square. Pushing in towards the hallway. Rin very low towards open now. Takes a beating. Good Boy gets rid of the Blackbeard. That's a huge piece off the table now for Falcons. They no longer have that shield play in the back pocket for the remainder of this round.
Shaiko really needed to get that kill. Rin allowed to drop. Good Boy doing more damage, but eventually taken to the grave. 3 versus 3.
Rin low though. And time here for Falcons to kind of assess the situation. You got the death marks available through Shaiko.
Well, Rin's out of play now, so Falcons need to capitalize here.
Yeah,
They go for the chase.
Almost finding one there through the wall. Shaiko aggressive on the Deimos, still playing off those pings and will get rid of Rin, who was low on health. Now finished off by Shaiko, activating here in this 6th round. And with that, Falcons take the man advantage heading into the final seconds of this half.
Double Candela, one more death mark. Falcons with all the tools to be able to draw out this half.
Final 2 drones for Falcons set up towards the hatch to get some information. Mephi towards Star, same with Coded. 2 gas canisters remaining. Blue stairs position for Shaiko, and that is a potential to take down Coded. Or Mephi. Mephi it is, and Mephi may not be aware of this blue stairs flank. Brede coming towards square as well. Falcons starting to group up. Solotov over towards Talus, so they'll play together as a team. Falcons to push in towards site. No gas canisters left. Mephi wins the entry battle towards the site. Traded though by Brede. Leaves Coded in a 1v2. Plant going down. Solotov has to provide the cover to make sure that this does not get stopped. Time now done. Left side towards triple. Nicely done though. Solotov cleans up, and it's a 3-3 half. Falcons are able to bring this one back from a 3-1 deficit. They clean things up a little bit. And arguably, you go back to that 2nd round and you think, well, they should have really won that one. And over the course of that first half, Falcons take into consideration the bans that they had to deal with as well. 3-3 is not that bad for them. They get to go defense now.
Good resilience then ultimately shown from Falcons. Decent final round as well with the execute. On full display, Deimos got really good value in isolating a couple of those defenders, made it incredibly uncomfortable for FearX, who couldn't quite hold the line in the end. Coded potentially in position to fire 2 for the clutch, but unable to do so. Even Mephi struggling up close there to find the double, which could have turned the tide. So fine margins there to conclude the half as the bans come through. Kaid Mirror in combination with the Blitz Monty. So Falcons focusing their efforts on shields. As anticipated, FearX take the Kaid off the board, critical on this map, especially for the basement kit. And then Mira not too unexpected. We saw that as the 3rd ban back in the first half.
And typically, APAC teams not always the greatest when it comes to attacking, but at this tournament so far, 63% attacker win rate for FearX. 60% defensive win rate for Falcons, which is good for 7th. It's 2nd, though, for FearX in terms of attacking win rate.
10 seconds to insertion.
This is going to be a fascinating half. Again, a reminder, if Falcons lose this match, they are out of reload. For FearX, it's kind of a, you don't gain much, you don't lose much, though. Which in some ways means a little bit less pressure on the side of FearX. They can only go to a maximum of 14 bullets. 1 for the reload and 1 for the eliminator. and only a minimum of 11, which still puts them in a good position tomorrow where obviously they would be playing. They would not finish top 4 today, win or lose. In fact, I'm not even sure if Falcons with 15 would qualify for top 4 today. I very much doubt it.
Probably not.
So the bans, double shield bans from Falcons, Montaigne Blitz has been taken off the board, and the Kaid and Mirror by FearX.
Liquefact then inside of Jam, but will drop. In the meantime, finds Good Boy on the fall off. So a good start here for Falcons. The roam clear posing problems for FearX. Eventually we'll take that ground. They have the Deimos to facilitate that and punish any defenders that wish to still roam around aggressively. That being said, it is still a 3-2 split. Solotov in elevators. The other two, well, now one. Open area. As Liquefact finds a second on another drop-off.
Yeah, but you lose Rin, so you're losing your ROUs. Rin does get the kill onto Shaiko, but ultimately for Falcons, when you're playing basement here, the attacking team has lost 2 pretty big pieces in the Grim and the Sens. You're bringing those for reasons, and now you don't have them. Yes, you got rid of Shaiko, but I think Falcons very much can just go back, play site now, which is why all 4 players over towards basement. You've got the 3 gas canisters available. Vulcan canisters still to be worked with, but obviously there's no Twitch, so you're going to have to deal with this in other avenues. And only 55 seconds remaining. And all 3 players for FearX over towards Square still. So they're going to get a wriggle on here. Got to pick up the pace. I mean, there's still Vulcan canisters that need to be popped, and pretty much as soon as possible. I fear that for FearX, they're going to just run out of time in this round. There's still 1 up there, by the way.
Yeah, still 1 default. It's going to be really tough.
There's still 2 gas babes in pocket for Bree Day. I mean, Falcons very well should win this round unless FearX can just drop all 3, get a kill each. And
I think the win con just has to be hatch drop, and
yeah,
we see that rotation now.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to plant default. They have clued onto that. 20 seconds left. Woogie Man on the Blackbeard will have to be the first one to drop. Play that shield front up. They're ready for that drop now, are Falcons. They are fully clued in onto the fact that FearX can certainly not go for this plant in towards CC. Woogie has dropped successfully, getting the plant down. Mephi cannot provide the cover, and it's a clean sweep for Falcons. Really well defended, a very solid round from them. Took a lot of pieces off the board from FearX early. And so far, good signs. They are going to be active on the defense. They take the lead here, 4-3, and FearX are going to have to think through some things as to how they're going to attack in this half against Falcons.
Yeah, really clean roam there from Liquefact. We saw the double, well, 2 separate kills, but double overall on the drop-off. Successfully second floor to first from Jan, and then first down to the side itself from open. Got a kill on both occasions. Was doing a good job in relaying a bit of info in terms of drone play there on the Grim. Pardon me, on the Solace. So yeah, super clean work there from him and the rest of the team to then consolidate late round, not give away anything for free, force FearX into the hatch drop, and it's pretty easy from there. Top 4 then now in play. And I do wonder what kind of approach FearX will go for. We saw on both occasions Falcons going direct CEO, facilitated with different forms of utility. Perhaps indicative that they were ready and prepared for the Kanto meta that's eventually going to evolve here with the ranged hard breach limitations. This time around though, it's a little bit different. That's not going to be the case. Falcons focusing in on obtaining shields instead. So there should be a little bit more freedom actually here for FearX on the attack, which probably favors them a little bit more than what we saw previously.
And after round 9, that Blackbeard's getting banned out.
You would imagine so.
You would imagine. It's being actively used by FearX, and with 2 shield bans by Falcons already, that's usually the next one in line.
It's either that or the Deimos.
So a 3-1 lead for FearX, now offset by 3 rounds won consecutively by Falcons. Feels like they're just starting to find a bit of that groove. I'm sure there's many teams at this tournament that would be hoping Falcons get knocked out today, because if they can, well, as I said, find that groove, they will become very formidable very quickly. Blackbeard at the window, that's fine. And Liquefact just showing presence. That's 5 drones already eliminated for FearX though, and they're going to need this information later in the round. So not ideal, and really good drone work here by Falcons, and there's another one. 4 left with 2 minutes to go. And a good reposition as well by FeaX. So far, Falcons looking good on defense.
Yeah, no Mirror forcing a bit more aggression from defense around the castle barricades. We see the Zephyr in response to maybe deal with that, and I think Coded cleared 1. Deathmark in play elsewhere, but able to counter that with the mute. Upside down repel from Mephi on the Glaz.
Well, this is your win con. If you bring in that Glaz and using those smokes, of which you don't really have many, 2 left
this
in
is
the pocket.
awkward.
This is a little awkward. Flames aplenty as well towards front desk. Oh, really? Well, he jiggled the timing to see if he could pull that gun out and find the opening kill, but FeaX just better with the timing and shuts down the Blackbeard. And so far, Falcons have really gained a significant amount of control in this match. The BPC will be dealt with. And Mephi going for a little lurk towards Banana. But look at this hold over towards Kanto.
Oh, the catch
is just sat here very pretty. Catch as well from the ADSs, placed by FeaX, and they've dealt with the Deimos, and Falcons are starting to sing a very wonderful tune. If you're a fan of Falcons right now, this is what you're used to seeing. This is the Falcons that just dominates you, strangles you, and says you're not getting in. And even with the Blackbeard, there's just no entry found for FearX. And it's going to be 4 rounds straight for Falcons, as Coded really should just take an impromptu timeout. 30 seconds, 1v3. Really just sit on the roof, talk things over with your team, buy some time.
Yeah, may as well at this point. Falcons doing a really good job in that prior round. Played around the castles perfectly. Catch from FeaX just seemed to be perfectly positioned, and we saw multiple projectiles get caught over the course of the round, making the util clearance more challenging. Rin really had to be the one to open up that round, but...
And they're going to have to work out as well. I mean, without these shields, FearX are really struggling to kind of just enter the building. So the band's really helping out Falcons here. And if they very well ban out that Blackbeard, it's going to be even more difficult for FearX as well later in the second portion of this half. And smiles as well on the faces of FeaX and co. This is much better for them. Because after the 3-1 lead, they looked a little bit lost, a little bit disorientated going into that tactical timeout. Speaking of tactical timeout, Stark will call his for FearX, now down 3-5. 4 rounds, 1 in a row here by Falcons.
So, in all the matches that FearX have played thus far, the worst they've had to endure in terms of shield bans was in that G2 game, where Ying and Monty were taken off the board, followed by the Blackbeard on Skyscraper. It was very different. Clubhouse, they faced the triple hard breach ban, which is a little bit more map specific, and then back on Chalet with Cyclops, they faced the Maverick, Grim, and no, sorry, on attack. Yeah, the Mav, Grim, and it's listed as Tub, so someone's made a mistake, I think, on Wikipedia. But they haven't had to deal with the triple shield ban, so we won't quite see that in effect just yet. We have to wait one more round for the additional ban, but it's certainly, I think, posing problems at the moment a little bit for some of the space clearance for Falcons, and I am concerned with the Blackbeard off the board as well, but it's only going to be exacerbated, so we'll wait and see if they can refocus off the back of that tactical and an opportunity to rethink their game plan.
So they don't bring the Blackbeard this round, maybe in anticipation that it's going to be banned out after it, and maybe start to get used to not having it. As I said, Deimos certainly could be an option as well. What do you ban, though, if you are FearX? What do you take away here from Falcons after this round? Is there anything that really kind of sticks out? Maybe the Valkyrie, Shaiko is bringing it in this round. It's one of the bans that you can kind of, if you don't have anything that's really sticking out, you could just get rid of the Val, denies information.
10 seconds left.
Could go catch, could even go castle. I know we don't see the catch on this occasion, but if you want to open up the top floor for next time, maybe that could be the play.
And I guess it depends if you want to be site-specific. Do you look to try and make lockers and CCTV a little bit easier? Do you ban something that helps strengthen that?
I'd probably lean more towards the castle in terms of overall impact, and we've seen it now in 2 setups for Falcons.
So 3-5, FearX certainly being tested here, and the most tested that they have been at the event so far. Woogie, early entry, Brede swung, but swung back with his life intact, only took half damage. And entry sends, almost finding the opening kill.
He was a bit lucky not to get traded by Solotov in Archives then. He checked that angle quite late, and fortunately caught a decent timing to get back out. An early poke and prod from FearX doesn't net much outside of a bit of damage, of course.
The RAU out from Woogie Man. Brede already with a Nitrocell in hand, but a little shock, a little Clutch drone comes on through.
And it did hack the one on quad, I think, so successful. Second one deep.
And shot
Taken
out.
Oh, it was the first drone still, actually,
Yeah.
but taken out.
I was going to say, because Brady had the nitrous up in hand, couldn't deal with the clutch drone immediately. So far, the setup is the focus for FearX. Not looking to hunt roamers, not looking to take map control, very much focused towards the site, and they do lose their Brava. Shaiko finds the opening kill. Falcons just keep finding a way to begin these rounds perfectly. So far in this match, only 3 opening kills for FearX. And it's going to be 6 now for Falcons. So they're dominating the early portion of this game. And I just don't know if FearX have the quality to win too many rounds down a player or even 2. And Rin now starting to go hunting.
Timing. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, no.
There's a play to his left as well.
Oh, it's a wide swing from users. Wasn't anticipating that timing of Good Boy.
That was awkward.
They did lose, though. Unfortunately, elsewhere, Woogie Man will go down, so the advantage does remain with Falcons.
Yeah. Who have triple nitro available as well, mind you. So if they pluck one more on Vert, it's very much GR for FearX.
Falcons looking to fight their way back into this reload tournament. If you win this, you go from 1 bullet up to 15. And we'll sit very nicely going into day 5, and that is a good kill from Solitov. Good Boy walks right into his crosshair. And with very little time remaining in this 9th round, Falcons primed to get themselves 3 match point opportunities. Rin has to hit the headshot, cannot on the first swing, and they now know he's the last one alive inside a printer. And Falcons, just quietly on a 5-round win streak, are looking to finally stop this FearX juggernaut. Because you've got to remember, for FearX, 7-4 over CAG, 7-1 over G2, 7-3 over SSG. They have not been stopped like this at this tournament until this very moment from a Falcons roster that's been a little bit hit and a little bit missed so far at Reload, but right now it's all hit. And this is the Falcons that we expected coming into this tournament. You win this, you're on 15 bullets, you're back into the limelight going into tomorrow, and that's not what teams want. No one's going to want to pick Falcons tomorrow. Warden and Sens will be the ones taken off the board.
Yeah, they don't triple down with the shield ban.
I don't think they needed to be honest. They were dealing with the Blackbeard when it was being used, and then it wasn't even used in the previous round.
I mean, it's a pretty good read from Falcons. FearX ban out the Warden, likely to try and triple down on the Sens themselves, but the Sens is off the board, so... Bit debated there and a bit of a nullified ban, to an extent. Ying's still in play, though. But I think this result, and then the way it's shaped up so far, is why I probably had some trepidation heading into the day as labeling this as the greatest game on the B stream. I think it's still been good, but to an extent, I think a bit of a reality check for a FearX who, again, have played well this event, but you are taking on the 2nd best team in the world, at least based off Boston, so it was never going to be easy. And arguably the match should already be over by now if you exclude the second floor fluke.
Yeah. You got to remember, of course, the Warden can't see through the ROU shield screen anyway.
Ah, yes, my apologies. I forgot where. Now with the toggle.
That was the slight little changes that Sens, of course, got back a little while ago. Yeah, Falcons just...
That's what happens when you don't cast for 6 months.
I'll forgive you. Falcons have just absolutely started to just dominate this game. And you go back to that second round, they really should have won that. Back to the drawing board, I think, a little bit for FearX. Now, don't get me wrong, they can certainly bring this back, but Falcons just look like the Falcons that we typically see. Dominant, in control, not making mistakes, not really making too many errors. And that's therefore not providing opportunities for FearX. FearX are not in a position to capitalize in a lot of these rounds because Falcons are just not doing a lot wrong.
As my friend would say, time to make a new door.
Falcons then rotating down below. Not too much of a contest for FearX to deal with.
It's just very slow pace.
If that Kai band out, they should be able to open up stuff relatively quickly.
A match
Abana in
point
play in
round.
the secondaries.
It's basement defense. Falcons have got denial, time denial, position denial. Got to be picking your pace up unless they go for a vault drop and do something a little bit different here.
Zodo's for Red Hatch as well. So. Or may have been Sight Hatch. Either way, it's going to stall out time. It was Sight Hatch.
Now, you've got to almost think about just straight up going main and vault and do something a little different. Couch Falcons slightly off guard, but the focus there from the shock drone of Good Boy still says that they want to maybe think about a default hit, but the posturing over towards the elevator side of the map says otherwise. I'm still not seeing enough presence, though, towards that vault. Main stairs, yeah, Mephi is here and really needs to find a kill from this position. 45 seconds. And Falcons will start to clue on that this is going to be vault. Look at the positioning of users. This is really good game sense from Falcons. They know full well that default is just not going to be viable. Pre-placed Nitro, it does get shot out, the drop does come, but it's all far too calculated. Far too easy to read. Even if FearX get a kill or two, there's 25 seconds left. You've got to still get that kit onto the floor. It's a rotate, a late one at that by Good Boy towards the admin hatch, but he dies to Leaky Fact, who stays clued on. And that round very well may be the best round that we saw from Falcons in a match where they've started to refine their mojo. FearX, absolutely. The door has been shut on them on bank. 7-3. After a 3-1 lead for FearX, it's 6 rounds straight from Falcons. And guess what? They're back, baby. Back big time. 15 bullets from 1. Just like that.
Will it be enough to qualify them at the end of today's play? Not quite sure. Not particularly confident.
No one wants to play them tomorrow. Not if they're playing like that again.
Absolutely not. Played pretty well today. Showed a bit of resilience. So FearX, who came out of the gates fighting, so a couple of punches here or there, but just lacking that polish that Falcons have.
The first couple of rounds from FearX were not that bad. I mean, the Rin 2K jump out, individual brilliance. They had good control. The on-site hold in round 3 got them a 2-1 lead. They had that weird stock hold on basement to get them a 3-1 lead. Things were looking great for a team that's been looking great this tournament. Unfortunately, though, Falcons woke up. They woke up with vengeance. As soon as that tactical timeout was called, from then onwards, Falcons were just in control, quite literally, winning 6 rounds straight.
Where to here for FearX? What do you think?
Well, I mean, not much changes, right? So if you kind of think about the fact that if FearX had won this game, they wouldn't have really had enough bullets to get top 4 anyway. So I don't think that much changes outside of inside of the server now. They may look a little bit more susceptible for teams that might go, okay, maybe the FearX hype train has just tempered a little bit, might be right for the picking tomorrow. On the inverse, for Falcons, well, they're now up and alive. They've got 15 bullets. They won't have to worry about getting a super amount of bullets tomorrow, because obviously they're not going to have enough to auto-qualify top 4 today. But if they're playing like that, they're going to be very difficult to beat. And so for the teams that will be on the lower end, the teams picking first in terms of seeding for the draft tonight, I'm not picking Falcons. Absolutely not picking Falcons. Big game. Congratulations. Falcons are back. Unfortunately for FearX, they do stumble a little bit. Their first loss at the tournament. Short break. Got more games on the other side.